Hey, today I'm going to tell you about a book I just finished today called No True Echo. No True Echo, No True Echo. You can see it there on the cover. I'd tell you all about this book. I'm not entirely sure I know what happened in this book, but we're going to give it a shot anyway. So Eddie lives in this small town where not a lot happens. In fact, it's just about to be spring break. He's excited. His best friend Angus is going to help him, or is going to climb 10 trees that he's labeled. Eddie doesn't really care about that, but he'll do it. So things get a little different though when this new girl shows up. Her name is Scarlet White, and Scarlet gets on the bus, and Eddie's immediately drawn to her. He's in love with her immediately. He's curious about her. He doesn't really know much about her except that he feels this really strong attraction to her. And when they do start talking, she says things that don't make any sense, and she won't explain them, and she tells him weird arbitrary things like that it's protocol that she can't tell him things, or that he really shouldn't know this or that. So something strange is going on. Also, his English teacher, who's usually a really good guy who he likes, they start reading Frankenstein that afternoon, and often this teacher gives him a ride home. So the teacher offers him a ride that day, and when Eddie goes out to meet him at his car, the teacher asks as if he doesn't have any idea what Eddie is doing there. Like they never even had this conversation. And he asks about Eddie's mom and how she's doing, which is even weirder because Eddie's mom died when he was a child, when he was really just a baby. He doesn't even remember her at all. He's lived all this time with his grandmother. And the English teacher knows this. He just told him about it a few days ago. In fact, they just discussed it at length. So something weird is going on. And then, to make things even stranger, he ends up following Scarlet to a house where he witnesses his English teacher murdering another man who it turns out might possibly be Eddie's father. So already odd, right? Already a lot of stuff happening. Then, the next day when he wakes up, it's the other day. He's reliving the previous day. Every detail of it, except for some reason Scarlet's not there on this day. But they have an assembly at school, just like the day before. When he gets to English class, the teacher hands out the copies of Frankenstein, just like the day before. He offers Eddie a ride home, but this time he remembers when he gets to the car that Eddie's coming home with him. He seems more like himself. Well, it turns out, as you probably have guessed already, there's some time travel involved here, although they don't actually call it time travel, but it is time travel. And it turns out the man who he saw murdered the day before, who's now alive and well, is the inventor of time travel, and his mother was also one of the people working on it before she died. So in this book, because like lots of time travel stories, there's a lot of stuff happening, and if you try and reconcile the different timelines, it gets very confusing. It can get very confusing anyway. And this author does a really clever thing, I think, which is that when it gets to the confusing part and Scarlet's trying to talk to him, she says something like, "You're not going to understand. You don't have the knowledge yet. It's coming later," which I think is really clever from the author's perspective, because of course if we try and figure out how can it be that he can be back here but then he has these memories from this other time, and is time aligned, and all of the questions that ever come up, and can you affect the past, and what does that change in the future, and what if you die, and all of that. Well, he doesn't really have to get into that because he just says, like, you're not really going to understand anyway, and he implies that it's all figured out somewhere in the future, just not now. Now, that didn't help me much because I still wanted to try and work it out in my brain, but it helped a little bit. Helped me feel a little bit better about the fact that I kind of had no clue where we were, what timeline we were on, what was happening with Eddie at any point. So, did I love this book? I don't know that I loved it. In fact, I'm sure I didn't love it, but it did give me some things to think about, and that's what I always like, is a book that makes me think about it after I'm done with it, and then I don't just move on from. So, No True Echo by Gareth P. Jones. Definitely a solid book, especially if you're into sci-fi. Definitely something you might want to check out. Not very long either. Look, it's only that big, and since I have the actual copy here, not just my Kindle version, then you can actually see the length of it. Also, intriguing, I'm not entirely sure what this is, but all of the pages have this fun artwork on the edges of them. Oh, and there's even a secret kind of message at the back that you'll understand after you've read the book, why it's there, which is kind of fun too. So a nice overall package. So, No True Echo, Echo, Echo by Gareth P. Jones.